Hey, what is going on everybody? It is Nolan, or the Optimistic Gamer here, and welcome back to the Optimistic Survival series. Now, I was just in the world working on our landscaping a little bit, cleaning up our paths and making them look like our original territory over here. And as I was doing that, with blue skies and high noon, I heard a lightning strike around the backside of our storage house right here, and saw on the captions that a skeleton horse has spawned in. We have had our rare occurrence of a skeleton horse being summoned, and of course we are going to take advantage of it with a name tag. Oh, we have a couple. Okay. Oh, 3 of them. All right. How about that? And we are going to name these horses and keep them for our own use. I think maybe we will even take them to the graveyard. I think that would be a great use of them. Of course, though, the first order of business will be naming them. So I think obviously one of them will be Bones. I think another one can be Lightning, since we had a lightning strike summon it in. And I know it is June, but why not? We'll go with Halloween. And of course we can always change the names later on if we decide. But our first order of business will actually be killing the skeletons. So let's take a stab at this. I'm going to put the sword in our offhand, or actually switch these so that we get our looting effect. And it looks like they have gone around to this side. Or do we have 4 of them? I think we do. That is amazing. I don't want to hit the horses, so we have to be very careful here. Alright, there's one. Oh no, I killed one of the horses on accident. Okay, I think we have to play this safe. We are just going to take the axe and do some melee damage up close. I need to eat though. Their bows are very strong. Alright, we have killed all of the horses. We even got some of their armor, so let's cycle through here and see what we have. Fire protection 1, okay. And I'm assuming this is also fire protection 1. Protection 2, that's actually a pretty good helmet. And we have a bow right here with power 1. Not bad at all. I feel bad that we accidentally killed one of the horses, but I only have 3 name tags anyway. So we have Bones, we have Halloween, and we have Lightning. Is one of our horses already named Lightning? It does not appear that way. We have, of course, the classic optimistic namer, who maybe already just had a birthday or has one coming up. And then Midnight Rider, we have Patches over here, and Diamond Dust, and then we need to come in here with a few more name tags as well. But we have skeleton horses now, which is pretty fun. Well, that is not how I intended on starting the episode, but that's okay. Anyway, now I'm recording a couple days later after having finished all of our path. Well, definitely not all of it, but a good portion of it, and I am so happy with how this has all come together. It really gives our whole town area here a ton of life, and I am so excited that this is finally finished, because it is very time consuming, and even though it is just randomly placing flowers, I feel like I end up putting a lot more thought into it than I need to. But I've planted a lot of trees and flowers, bushes, I've placed some pumpkins and some wheat down here and there, and we have some torches still lingering for lights. I did put some glowberries in the trees, and if the sun is close to setting, which it's not, it's going to be about 6 more minutes, we will see that we have all of these lights along here, and again some glowberries lighting everything up. I went down to some caves to grab some glow lichen. I'm going to place this down on the areas of the path where it is a little bit darker and we want to prevent some mobs from spawning. But for the most part, it is pretty well lit up, very heavily landscaped and decorated, and I'm just really excited. It makes it a lot more enjoyable to be in this part of our town. But for today's episode, we are working with the crafter, so I'm going to put all of our landscaping items away, and we will get started on that. So of course, to make the crafter, we will need some iron. We will also need some redstone dust. I believe we need a dropper, which we have one of. It could also be a dispenser, but it looks like a dropper, so we will grab one of those, and of course, a crafting table. So with this, we can make our first crafter, and there we go, we now have a crafter. We are going to make a few more of these today, and we are using them at all of our various farms. The iron farm will be a big one because I'm sure it is already close to filling up, and I end up crafting all of those ingots into blocks anyway, so that will be one of them. Another one is right up here at our melon farm, which we will have to do a lot of reconfiguration of to split it from the pumpkins because we don't want the pumpkins going into the crafter, but all of these melon slices will be crafted back into normal melons. We are also going to use the crafter down in our sugarcane farm right here, where we can automatically turn all of this sugarcane into paper. And what I would actually like to do eventually, once we have it, is have a pipe or some kind of item moving apparatus that will take our paper to a future villager trading hall, where we can easily access all of that paper and trade it with the villagers. Another area that we will be setting up the crafter in today is going to be right over here, with our honeycombs, which I don't know why we don't have any in here. I did replace all of the dispenser, I know what it is. The dispensers need to be fired one time. Our shears on all of those broke, which caused the farm itself to stop working, and I forgot that we just have to activate these once so that the farm can continue on again. So in doing all of this, we should see some honeycomb start to fill up in there. It's not like we really need the honeycomb. We have a bulk chest on the second floor of our storage room filled with honeycomb on top of our first chest, but it would be nice to have this. We are going to craft this into honeycomb blocks, just like that, and we will use those for building. Of course, the honeycomb blocks cannot be crafted back into honeycomb, so once we have these, then that is that. We won't be going back, but I think we have plenty of honeycomb for now. Maybe we will even make a system where we can turn it on and off. But off the top of my head, I think that will cover all of our different farms that we have for now. So we will have the sugarcane, the melon, the honeycomb, and the iron. Also, now that it is night, you can see how the path is all illuminated with things other than torches, but since it's dark now, we are going to grab that glow lichen, and we can remove any lingering torches that we have to light up the path and replace this with glow lichen. That looks like it is fine right here. We have enough light coming from our house. Right here, that is fine as well. It's mostly just covering areas where we don't have any street lights, such as right here. So we can place some glow lichen there, and that completely startled me. Let's take out that skeleton. Let's take out this zombie. And let's take out this creeper as well. That is why we are placing the glow lichen. We will even put some right back in here in these dark areas as well. So that will definitely help keeping some of those mobs from spawning. So we are going to begin right up the hill with our melon farm, as that will probably be the easiest one of the 4 to configure. The iron farm actually shouldn't be too bad. It's just going to require us to filter out the poppies, whereas this one doesn't have anything like that. So our first order of business, break the minecart and not the dirt surrounding it, And we are going to disconnect these two tracks. We are going to have the pumpkin minecart run on one track and the melons run on another. So we can actually even go ahead and replace that minecart and get it running right now, since we don't need that one over here. It will continue to collect pumpkins and place them down in that chest. But on this side, this is where we are going to have our crafter. So we will still have our rails that will go back and forth, although this time we are going to have a crafter right here that will load the items into, well, craft the melons and then load them into a barrel. So we will have a hopper right there, a powered rail on top, and we might even make something that triggers this powered rail so that our hopper always stops on it, or our hopper minecart always stops on it until there are melons ready to be picked up. So we can get that placed on that rail as well. We will probably have to do a little bit more landscaping to hide all of this, but that's okay. This is a pretty steep step right here, so we can bring this hill all the way around if we need to. And the crafters, of course, dispense items from the front. I'm not sure if we can place a hopper in front of it or not to dispense an item, but we are going to try it. So we have our hopper right there, and let's pick something simple to craft. Let's just do a redstone block. So we will place that down. When we give this a redstone signal, it should spit it out hopefully into the hopper, and it looks like it did. Perfect. So that will work for us, which means we will just extend that hillside and it will be nice and concealed. We'll bring that barrel out a little bit more. I know it's not anything fancy. That will be for another time. So now we need to configure this to trigger when it has a redstone signal of 9. Otherwise, we are going to end up with a bunch of melon seeds, and that is not what we want. So we need to set up a comparator, probably on the other side of this, and that will loop a redstone signal back into it. So let's clear some of these blocks right here, and we will have to wire this underneath the track, but that's okay. So with our comparator, we will place that down, and then we want to place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 redstone. I think that needs to be facing into that block though. So I think we will do this instead. I'm gonna have to break that. We will replace it here in a moment. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's not gonna work either. I think if we start from this block, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, but it's still not facing into that block. So I think what we will do instead is have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These rails right here are not working out for us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then we can take a repeater. This should not be this difficult. And then we can take a repeater and power that. It shouldn't power off that hopper or the rail. If it does, it will just power right back on. So now we can put this grass block back, which will trap me in here. We'll just carve out a door right there and get a rail placed down right there. When we fill this up with 9 melons, it should power the crafter. So let's give that a shot. And it shouldn't power with 1, so we will fill up with 9 melons, and there we go. So we can continue to do that, and they should appear in our barrel right there. Easy as that. All we have to do now is connect our observers up here to the minecart system so that every time they fire, they send a redstone pulse down to this minecart right here and allow it to collect the melons. So we can cover all of that up. We need a redstone piece right there, and then I think we can start to work our way up towards the farm. I don't want to break any of this redstone though, so we will go in from the side up here, and let's see if there is a good way to get this connected, which could be difficult, but if we break this block, place a redstone torch right there, well, that just made a clock. I think we won't be collecting enough melons to where it needs to stop right there. This isn't like the sugarcane. It will unload them in enough time as it goes across, and we are not really up here all that much, so the minecart rail sound is not a problem. So we will get some power going to that rail right there. We will get some power going to this rail right here. And now we can just take our hopper minecart, place that down, and that is just going to go back and forth, continuously collecting melons and crafting them into, or melon slices, and then crafting them into melons. So let's throw some melon slices onto the track right there. And of course, with enough time, it won't ever collect 46 at once, so that is not a problem. But once it loads up 9 melons into there, then we should get a melon. So we can cover all of this redstone up now, replace those cherry logs, and make this whole area look a little bit nicer. And there we go, we now have 3 melons in our barrel. Easy as that. So now we can just take all of, well, we'll just leave those melon slices in there for now. So that is 1 farm down. We now have 3 to go. Let's work on the sugarcane farm next. Actually, I take that back. We are going to do our iron farm next because this one fills up a lot faster. So of course we have a lot of terraforming around here to do, but that shouldn't be a huge problem for us. And while we are working here, I'm going to turn down some of our sounds just so we don't have to listen to the dispenser over here or the iron golems dying. So I think we will take this farm one step further, and instead of just filtering out our poppies, I think we will have the poppies go into a composter, and then from there into a crafter where they can be turned into bone blocks. So we are really optimizing the size of this farm, and it should be able to run for days on end before either the bone block chest or the iron block chest fill up. So to start, well, terraforming, we're just going to use some stone bricks for this. And I'll just start to fill in the ocean right here. We shouldn't need too much space. I just want a little bit more to work with. So I think something about like this should be a good starting point for us. We'll just hop up here, build a small staircase, and of course we want to start with our item filter. So we are going to have a hopper that feeds into another hopper. In fact, I think we will probably want to start from the end on this. So over on this side, we will have our iron blocks, and over on this side, we will have our bone blocks. Going into each of those, we will have a hopper, and adjacent to those, we will have a crafter. So we will place our crafters right here, not facing up, but facing that way. There we go, and then going into the crafters will be both our poppies and our iron blocks, or iron ingots, I should say. And then, oh wait, no, I forgot. We want to compost our poppies before they go into the crafter. So we will get our composter and then our hopper, which has to be placed on top of the composter. I am running out of space over here. Let's move that crafting table and get this hopper placed on top. That is where our poppies will feed into, so we will have that going over there, and then of course our iron blocks going on that side. Now we need to set up our item filter. It has been a very long time since I made one. If I'm not mistaken, we fill up a hopper with, I want to say, I forget how many items. We will just test it out a few times, and I need to make one more comparator. The other thing I'm worried about is we might have to move this down one more row, but we will see how we do. So we will have a hopper that will be facing this direction right here. And then we will get rid of that hopper so we don't fill that up with poppies or iron. And then we fill this up with a certain number of blocks so that a comparator detects the strength of this at a certain level, which will then shut it off. I think we need to bring this down one more layer though. So we will have our comparator right there. I think we have our hopper face into that, and then we will have another hopper facing in that direction. And then when we have our filters on top of here, or our hoppers on top of here facing that way, and fill this up with blocks, which we are just going to go with netherrack. Right now those are making it all the way through. Well, I cannot remember off the top of my head. Luckily, the internet is a beautiful thing. Alright, this shouldn't be that difficult at all. So this is where our iron is going to go. We will filter out the poppies and have the iron go into these hoppers. So we will want to connect those going all the way over there. And then right here is where we will place our comparator. And I think we are going to have to move this whole farm down a little bit. Not this farm, but the crafting part of it. So our comparator right here, our hopper going into that, and then I think we place one more right here and do a little bit of redstone wiring right back behind here. So let's move away some of this sand and some of this sandstone. And I believe the way this works is we place our redstone behind the comparator and go down one block like that. And then we will place a repeater right here and a redstone torch in this block right there. I definitely would not have figured that out on my own. So in here, this is our filter. So we want to put a certain number of poppies and occupy the rest of them with a block that will not be in the farm. So now that should filter until it gets down to 42 if I'm not mistaken, and it is still going. Do we need to put more blocks in here? Alright, I've figured it out. So we had to place in the filter first, and now when we place, there we go, once we get 18 in there, the filter is now functional. So what we should see then by connecting this hopper right up there is our poppies starting to flow into this chest. Of course, it is starting with the iron, but we have some poppies right there. And there we go. So our filter is now functional. The crafter is going to fill up with the iron. And now we need to get this chest up here, which I think we will just move this down one more row. And then what we can do at the end of this is have a couple bubble columns which will spit our items back up for easy access. So let's reconfigure all of this now. I guess we could also have a minecart track. There are a number of methods that we could go about doing, but for now we will just finish this part and then cross that bridge when we get to it. So for now, I'm going to turn off this filter. In fact, I'm just going to stop this entire process altogether so that we can work on all of this without being interrupted by any of it actually happening. So our composter, we will place that down right there. Of course, our hopper has to go into the top of it, which that was not the top. There we go. And then from here, we will get our bone meal, which will then travel into our crafter. And it looks like we have an underwater cave right down here. Hopefully that doesn't get in our way too much, but it looks like it might. We may have to move this in that direction towards the ocean, which that won't be a problem. So again, our composter right here, which will feed into a crafter with a hopper facing into it. There we go. And now, of course, our last step is a hopper facing out of that crafter, which will collect our items. I think we will just put those into a dropper and have a bubble column that takes these items back up to the surface for us. And then we can conceal all of this redstone and not even have to worry about it. So we will then have a dropper right here, which means our bubble column will be right at that pillar. We'll get the dropper placed down, and we will connect an observer clock to this, but we will do that at the end so it doesn't drive us crazy. So everything is configured the way we want it to be. Let's go ahead and get our comparator hooked up to the crafter if we can work around this underwater cave here. So of course we want a signal strength of 9. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Perfect. And then we will just place a block right there, which will power the crafter once it has 9 bone meal in it. That of course will again spit out into that hopper and then into this dropper where we will place our observer clock. That will then rapid fire the dropper right there, which I guess we can just let that run now in the background while we finish everything up. We'll get a torch placed down in here as well. So now our bubble column. We will need some water that will get placed right down here. I think we will use our stone bricks for this. We'll place that right there, and then we need some soul sand and some kelp. I think we have plenty of kelp out here, and I can grab some soul sand from the nether. We'll get this placed at the bottom of our bubble elevator, fill it in with our kelp, and there we go. We should have a full bubble column now. And now we will feed these items, probably going in this direction. I might increase the height on this though, maybe 3 more blocks. Well, let's figure this out right now. If we want our chest right here, and then we want some hoppers facing into it, like that, then we will want our water right on there. So we want our water to come up to this level. There we go. And then we can get back down in here with our kelp. Maybe, maybe not. There we go. And then we can fill all of that in as needed and break that. And there we go. Our bubble column is back. Let's clean this up a little bit and have a upside down stair right there so we can open that chest. I guess we could also just place one more hopper. That would probably be a little bit easier. So we'll do a hopper right there, and then we can fill all of that in with our blocks and fill in up top as well. I will make this look a little bit nicer, don't worry. Today we are just in it for the functionality of the farm. And then we will get that covered. It doesn't have to be covered all the way, but I still want to anyway. We'll take out those corners. And there we go. Now when items come up the bubble elevator, they will end up in this chest. So that will take care of the bone blocks. We just need to feed our iron blocks into this bubble elevator as well, which isn't hard at all. We will just place a dropper on this block and then connect our chest via hoppers. So we actually need to go down one more row right here. And then we will place our dropper from the other side. And this shouldn't wreck any of our redstone, but I just want to cover it up just to be safe. So we'll get these blocks removed, and it's that one right there where we want our dropper. That should be facing out. It is. We can replace that sand now and head back over to this side. Wire our chest to this dropper, connect an observer clock to it, and now all that is left is just powering this one once again with another comparator signal. So let's knock down some of the sand, give us a little bit more room to work with. Those droppers are very loud. Luckily, we are only ever here to collect our resources, not actually AFK or spend time or anything like that. This is going to craft right away, so I'm going to get some of those iron ingots out. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Uh-oh, I think we need to go out one more block right here, but that's okay. We will get that worked out once again in the future. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. One more block going into here. We'll just go with some smooth sandstone for now. I have a very full inventory. And now we should be all set up. So our item filter is in place. This will craft our iron. and turn it into blocks, which will then be carried. We don't even need this chest. Cut out the middleman here, and we will just have hoppers going straight over there. That is the iron side of this farm. Those iron blocks will then be released into the bubble column. If we make our way over here, we have our poppy filter, which when we changed it, it filled up with iron. So hopefully that will be good to go now. In fact, if we put all of those in there, it looks like we are good. So, well, we were good until I removed that filter. So let's get 18 poppies placed in there, and those should stay put now. We will take those poppies out of here, which, why weren't those? Oh, I see the problem here. Okay, that is disabling this hopper, so we have to move everything now. Oh, that's fun, isn't it? Of course, redstone is all about trial and error, so let's remove some of these blocks. This will hopefully be an easy fix. I think it will. If we have a hopper going into there, I hope that doesn't mess anything up. I hope those items don't go straight into this hopper. In fact, let's give it a shot. Let's just put some iron ingots in there, and yes, they went straight into that hopper. Darn it. Okay, so I think our best option is to somehow have our composter and the composter decided, or is it in the crafter? There it is. Alright, we have a whole bunch of items in there. So we know for certain that we need to have a hopper going into the top of a composter. Now what we could potentially do is if we move this hopper to the side of the crafter right here, place our composter on top and then a hopper on top of that. Now what we can get away with is a hopper right there, a hopper right there, and a hopper right there. That should do the trick, and it sounds like it is. Let's get some of those poppies out of there, and that is going to fill up with bone meal. Alright, problem solved. And now it is just a matter of filling all of this in to some degree. We have a torch down there, so I am not too concerned with the mob spawns. But we will just fill this in with a few more torches right here, and a faux sandstone floor that we can just replace our sand on top of. So I think everything is primed except for our last hopper right there, which we will place in once we are ready to see this whole farm in action. Well, I want to be careful about placing some blocks on some of those hoppers just because of the redstone connectivity properties, so I think we will just keep those away. And I saw something fall into a hopper, some sandstone. I hope that doesn't get clogged anywhere in our system, but it looks like we might be clear. So we'll go ahead and fill in all of this with our sandstone now, and we can get our sand put back on top. We'll just bury all of that redstone so that we don't have to see it, because it is kind of a mess, I'm not gonna lie. And then we'll place a little bit more sandstone right along here, which I keep putting it away. So we'll get 3 more put across there. Hopefully, again, this doesn't cause any problems. But now, I think our system is all ready to go. So we can cover up some of these hoppers. We should still be able to reach that one through this chest. It looks like we can, so we can get all of this covered up and really hide everything, make it look as though nothing suspicious is happening underneath the ground right here. Ignore the giant stone brick pillar and wall. Alright, I think it is time to see this farm in action. So let's replace our iron ingots and our poppies to the chest. And let's grab some of our shulker boxes as well. We'll pick up our ender chest. And here we go. So now we'll take our hopper. We will place this down right there. And pretty soon we should see some iron and bone blocks filling in right here. The iron, of course, will come first, not only because it is first in line in the chest, and there it is, but also because the bone meal will take a little bit longer because the poppies have to go through the composter. But that is fantastic. We have iron blocks coming through here now. That is going to consolidate everything, and I do want to have a peek right in here as the iron blocks get shot up our bubble column. And it sounds like we are on the poppies now, so I think we just missed it, but we should hopefully see our bone blocks coming in here pretty soon. They are going to be very slow. We are not going to get a whole lot up front, but over time they should accumulate quite a bit. And it looks like we might have some more iron blocks. Yep, there they go, shooting up our bubble column. So that takes care of this farm. I do want to wait to see one bone block though. So I think we will move some of our poppies to first in queue and then await those. And there it is, our first bone block. So we have confirmed that everything is functioning as it needs to be. Again, we will clean up this monstrosity. I'll probably do this between episodes, but now our iron farm is producing iron and bone blocks. Who would have thought? So let's head back home and work on our paper next. Well, I have decided to cut out the building of this farm since it is pretty much the exact same thing as what we have been doing, but I will still show everyone what we have done right underneath these steps, where of course we have our giant source of stone from early in the series. But right now, the minecart hopper is unloading some sugarcane, putting it into the crafter, and that is turning it into paper. And look at that, we are filling up with a bunch of paper where we can eventually take that off to the site of a future villager trading hall and have it easy access for trading with librarians. So with this one finished now, we can head up and work on our fourth and final farm. You know what, just with the amount of wax that we will probably be using and the limited capacity of honeycomb blocks that we will be using, I think we are going to skip automating this farm. Before we end the episode though, I just want to go back to our previous two farms to see how things are working out for us. In here we have 9 melons, which is the equivalent of 81 melon slices. Of course, this farm only runs when we are loaded in, but let's just have a look inside and make sure things are still running smoothly, which it looks like they are. The minecart hopper is not filling up with any melon slices, which means it is effectively emptying them into that hopper. And our iron farm, or I should say our iron block and bone farm, is very, very effective as well. That is making it a lot easier to manage all of this and much faster to bring all of these items back. Only 2 bone blocks, of course, like I said, that will be very slow because it probably needs close to a stack of poppies per bone block. Since it has to get bone meal from each one, it probably takes 8 to 12 to fill up the composter one time, and it has to do that 9 times. So with due time, we will get all of our bone blocks that we will probably use for building, and of course we will reserve for bone meal as well. But that is where we are going to end things today as the rain begins on our head. If you enjoyed today's episode, definitely hit that thumbs up button and make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on daily content as soon as I publish it. Check the description for some more important information, links, how to contact me, all of that good stuff. And with all of that being said, comment, like, subscribe, remember to stay optimistic, and I will see all of you tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Bye!